everybody, welcome back to the Brothers Grim Dark. Today we have another little hobby tutorial for you. I'm going to be showing you how I do my Space Wolves Grey armour. If you've seen any of the videos on the channel before, you'll notice I go for the more sort of Heresy style, darker armour. So I'm just going to talk you through that, the various steps for doing that. And I'm going to be using my kit-bashed Bjorn the Fellhanded model for that. Always wanted a Bjorn model, and I actually bought one of the regular Space Wolf Venerable kits to do that, to build him up a while ago, but then when Games Workshop released the plastic Leviathan, I decided that was more fitting for Bjorn. So he's got a real presence, but I'm really excited to get him painted up. But yeah, we'll jump to the tutorial table and see you there. Okay, here is Bjorn. As you can see, he's been coming along the last few days, but what we're mainly going to be focusing on today is this leg that I've not really touched yet. I've just sort of blocked in some colours, but I'm going to be showing you how I do my grey today. Yeah, and all the way up to the weathering and things. So first thing we're just going to do is take some Black Templar right out of the pot. Don't need to worry about watering this down or anything, and just gonna start applying that to all the recesses. So as you've probably noticed, I spray my models with Mechanicus Grey as my base, just because I like to go for that sort of Horus Heresy era style Space Wolves, which is a bit with the darker grey. Just personally, it's what I prefer. And although we're going to be adding some weathering later on, you just want to be as neat as possible at this step, just to make those lines as crisp as you can. When the Leviathan dreadnought came out in plastic, I just thought that's too good an opportunity not to use. Just to upscale Bjorn a bit, make him a bit more imposing on the tabletop. So yeah, I went for it. And yeah, I think the two kits have blended together quite well. Obviously you can't see the arms at the moment, but I managed to convert up True Claw using the blades from the Space Wolf Dread kit, and I think it works quite well, sticking them on the end of the Leviathan arm. Okay, and that is the first step done. So you can just see that it's just added a little bit of shading into those recesses, but it still looks a little flat. So next step, we're just gonna accentuate that a little bit. Okay, next step, and we're just gonna add some Nuln Oil to those recesses, and at the same time I'm just going to use it to do a little bit of weathering as well. So just kind of in those recesses as well, with a bit chunkier line. And again, apologies if all this isn't in shot. I'm trying my best to keep the camera on the right thing, or holding the model in the right direction. Okay, so that's that applied to the recesses, but now what I'm going to do is just add some splodges, just to start adding a bit of interest onto the model. And these are I'm kind of random with these, and I probably will go over a few of them a second time, just to make some of them a bit darker than others, but I'm just going to go around now and just sort of randomly apply some of these where I fancy. Yeah, and this is just going to help with just starting to build up that texture on the model and make it a bit more, feel a bit more lived in than just a model. Okay, now that's dried, you can see the sort of effect that's had on the leg, just to give it a bit more interest. I don't know if you can see in there as well, there's a big sort of a big streak going down the inside. Okay, so now we're going to do my first edge highlight. So this one I don't apply to my sort of rank and file. I don't bother putting this on the intercessors or the blood claws, but anything else, characters, big models, I do, and I just like it because it gives a little coolness to the model, because obviously I base my Space Wolves with sort of on icy terrain, so I just like the look of them having just this little bit of, yeah, sort of coolness to their armour. So yeah, I apply some rust grey, and I've just given that a little bit of water just to make it a bit easier to apply. And yeah, that's just going to be used as an edge highlight, just to pick out those edges. So chunky maybe isn't the right word for this edge highlight, but I am going to apply a highlight layer on top of this. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. You ought to be careful, but it also doesn't need to be super fine. And you'll notice I'm not painting the very base of the foot, and that is because I haven't decided if I want it to be grey or silver yet, or metal. Yeah, still making up my mind on that one. Okay, you can see that that leg has that sort of blue tinge that I was aiming for now, just to tie it in with the coolness of the base when I give it that icy base. And I just think it looks good for Space Wolves, just to have that little bit of, even if they're on a different style base, just a little bit of a coolness to their armour, which I like. So yeah, now we'll go on to the second highlight, which is going to be Administratum Grey. Yeah. So that's just gonna, it's a bit brighter than the rust grey, so it's really gonna make those edges pop, but you're gonna have that blue tone underneath that's gonna help just to give it the coolness as well. So this is sort of what I found works for the look I'm going for, but you may have something different that works for you, but please leave a comments if you want to share how you paint your Space Wolves or any armour, really that just you think different colours work together. I'd be keen to find out. And yeah, at this step you might decide that some of those edges you don't think are sharp enough to warrant a second edge highlight, and that's fine. You can just leave it at at the rust grey in certain areas, just to create a bit more tone as well. Okay, and that's the second edge highlight done, which concludes the portion of the video where we need a steady hand. So we'll be moving back onto the weathering in a sec, and yeah, catch you then. Okay, now we're moving back onto the weathering, and this time we're going to focus on chipping. So we're going to go back to the rust grey. I've still got some mixed up earlier that I used earlier, but rather than using a brush this time, we're going to be applying that with some sponge. So I'm just using like a regular kitchen sponge for this. Some people use like the sponge you get in GW like carry cases, but yeah, just I think as far as I'm aware, any sponge will do. So I'm starting with the rust grey here first, because this is going to be the biggest use of this, you know, because this is going to be, because it's the darker highlight, this is going to show the lightest chips on the armour. So I'm just dabbing that in like so, just to highlight some chipping that's happened. And because this is the feet, I'm going to be applying a fair bit here, because I reason that there'd be a fair bit of scuffing happening down there on the feet. And you just don't want too much on your sponge, but just enough to sort of dab onto it. And you want to make sure you're doing a clean dab with this. You don't want to be dragging at all, because then it's going to create a different effect. You want to just dab on, and just to get that nice authentic chipping effect. And yeah, I would say it's best to be sparing with this at first, and if you decide it's not enough, you can always apply more afterwards, but it's a bit of a pain to do it the other way around, of applying too much and then having to go back and undo it. So I'd always err on the side of caution at first with this. Okay, but I think I'm happy with that as the first highlight. So that's a bit more muted, just to sort of show that that's a light layer scuff. And after that, I'm going to get a new bit of sponge and just move right on to Administratum Grey for some higher highlights, brighter highlights, to show that that's a deeper scuff that's happened. So for this, you want to be narrowing or applying it less than that first one. You want to be a bit more sparing with it. Okay, and that's that second one done. As you can see, that's sort of highlight that effect a little bit more. And lastly, for the deepest chips into the armour that have gone right through the overcoat, we're going to be using Rhinox hide, which is just going to showcase those really deep chips that have gone in. And again, for this, I'm going to be applying this even more sparingly, is the idea. So, new bit of sponge, and just go straight into the pot with that, and then a good dab to get most of that off. And then yeah, just focusing on those highlighted areas. And this is something, as I say, you can just keep working at until you get right. But I think it's better to err on the side of caution with this technique, and then you can always go back and edit it and change it afterwards. So just for example, I think I've actually done a better job of this on this leg. I think that looks a bit more natural to me than what I've done on the other leg. It's a bit more, that last Rhinox hide is a bit blotchier than the one I did before. So I'm just going to go back after I stop this video and just tie those in a little bit more. So what I'll do for that is I'll just go back and blotch over that a bit more with the rust grey and the administratum grey, just to remove a bit more of the Rhinox hide again. And if that doesn't completely work, what I can do is I can go back into that again and blotch over more of it with, what's it called? Mechanicus Standard Grey, just to tie it in with the overcoat of the armour. But as that stands, I'm pretty happy with that. I hope you've enjoyed this and this has been useful for you. Please leave a like and subscribe if you've not already. If you want to see us tackle different painting tutorials from different parts of me and Rowan's army schemes, or the Necrons that you like the look of and you'd like us to do a tutorial on those, please let us know. But yeah, for now that's Bjorn, where he's up to. I will try to get him finished in the next couple of days, and hopefully by the time this video is out you will see him at the end credits, probably around now, in all his finished glory. Anyway, till next time, catch you.